In times of educational crisis, are we living in transparency to where, you know, no one can get a lack of education from the special education era? Not according to teachers in Sinton ISD, even the parents of the Sinton community. They want, they just want to see, they're raising concerns about an alleged incident that happened in a special education classroom and the lack of transparency with the district. What does that even mean? Here's Adam Beam.
We noticed that he didn't want to get down to go to school.
This was just one of the differences Araceli Garza noticed in one of her sons.
We noticed that our oldest son did not want to come through the doors. He just looked at us and he just bawled his eyes out.
Garza has two sons who attend Welder Elementary. Both have level 2 autism spectrum disorder and are nonverbal, which their mother says has only made an alleged incident in the classroom more difficult as a parent.
So I told him, if my kids could verbally tell me our conversation, and the whole case would be a lot different.
According to Garza, in September, her sons were in class when her youngest had his hand smacked by a teacher, who Chris Six will not be identifying, with another alleged incident involving that same teacher raising their hand to her oldest son. However, a review by Driscoll Children's Hospital's child abuse pediatrician found no visible signs of injury on either child.
They wouldn't just tell us like that. I had to keep calling, I had to keep texting, showing up.
But speaking with Garza and other parents who did not wish to be identified, this incident and others are worrying due to a lack of transparency.
Everything's just kind of getting brushed off. I keep emailing the principal, superintendent, and everything, but we want to hear from the big man, and he has yet to get in contact with me, and it's sad that I'm told that he is very aware of me.
Chris Six reached out to the district for comments. In their statement, they say the district continues to engage directly with parents and that they have communicated directly with all parents who have shared concerns with them. The district also responded to safety concerns, saying a security camera will be installed in the classroom once delivered.
The district said in their statement that while a criminal investigation has been closed, the two teachers remain suspended pending an internal investigation. Reporting in Sinton, I'm your neighborhood news reporter Adam Beam for Chris 6 News.
Now, what does that even mean, suspended pending investigation? Does that mean suspended with pay? No, it's just you mean suspended because, we have an investigation. We can't have you get involved, so we're going to have to suspend you from school until we complete the investigation. I mean, it's the transparency we're talking about, You don't assault a special needs person, a special needs kid. You don't ever do that. Ever. Whether it's assaulting a special needs person or having abuse. There's also another case of a nonverbal student. It's not in Sinton. It's not just in Sinton. It's also happening in Canesville, where they had an F rating by the Texas Education Agency. Now Canesville ISD is tightening safety procedures. But how tight will they be now that this incident of a child missing could even alert the whole Canesville community? Let's take a look.
I was very heartbroken. I was terrified.
On October 30th, Kimberly Gonzalez went to pick up her 5-year-old son, Zayden, from school, only to find out he wasn't there.
They started looking for him inside the school. They looked all over the campus, came back out and said that he was nowhere to be found.
Police were called for extra help and discovered through surveillance video that Zayden was put on a bus by mistake. Nearly 2 hours later, after searching the area and nearby bus stops, they found Zayden near Gillette Intermediate School.
He doesn't talk. Imagine if he would have got dropped off somewhere. Something would have happened to him. He could have got run over. Like, nowadays, there's a lot of things that could happen.
Gonzalez says the assistant principal told her a substitute mixed up names, thinking Zayden was a bus rider.
To know that him being at school under their care, how can they lose a child?
I reached out to Superintendent Dr. Luz Martinez, who tells me this isn't the first time there's been a mistake or mix-up involving students in transportation, calling Zayden's incident, quote, deeply concerning and should have not happened. She also says in part, the safety of every student is our highest priority, and any lapse in our transportation procedures requires immediate action on our part. Action that will be done by implementing changes, such as a sibling buddy system, stricter check-in and check-out protocols, and a seating chart. Kimberly tells me that she hopes that these changes keep everyone, including her son, safe. In Kingsville, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Ana Conejo, Chris 6 News.
And we hope that it'll continue on because, we want this to stop. These safety procedures need to be tightened enough, but so tight enough that substitute bus drivers need to be trained. Nobody can ever be confused from a bus driver to a bus passenger or bus rider. And I'm glad that Kingsville ISD has gone from an F to tightening security measures and even trying to say, you know what, we need to do better. I mean, it's a stepping stone. You've got to do better. And, everybody makes mistakes. And the bottom line is, we've got to learn from our mistakes. Especially when it means that a kid gets into a school bus fight. Coming up, we're going to have a story for you about a child who was on a school bus when it happened. A fight broke out on a school bus, and the images you'll see when we return are horrific and horrifying. Stay with us. It is so easy for me to do, but it's so hard for others to do because they can't do it or don't have the guts to do it. We have been talking about bullying ever since, and one of my main goals is to help people stop bullying and learn how to speak up. We have been talking about this for many, many years. We've had a special all about bullying. I created Stop Bullying Speak Up on Facebook, and we've been giving you a lot of tips and a lot of examples, and a lot of stories. But this one is from Houston, and really, it will really get you on the edge of your seat when you hear the story. Months ago, there was a 9-year-old who was being bullied. He was being bullied, and outcry was happening at one school district. The school district said, now they went to the school, and nothing was done. But now thousands are demanding an action after the video went viral. There's outcry, and there needs to be change. Let's take a look at this.
I was arguing with a little boy, and he was calling me gay, so I went to go tell the teacher, and she was like saying that, well, the reason why people are calling you gay is because of this. And I really got sad and angry, and I went in the corner, I started crying. She said, do you know why I said that? I'm like, no. And she was like, the reason why I said that is because you walk this way and you being silly.
Chance is 9 years old. His mom says for weeks other students mocked how he walks and talks. She says each time she asked for help, nothing changed.
He held his composure all through school, but the moment he got inside of the house and closed the door, he just broke down. The administration just told me that they would investigate it. The teacher on the other hand just told me, and kind of like in a condescending way, like I already talked to Chance. I already apologized to him.
How do you feel when they tell you that?
I felt dismissed. I felt like it was them trying to get time to think about what to do next.
Jones says instead of focusing on the bullying, the school wrote her son up for pushing a classmate who teased him. She posted a video describing what happened, and within hours, thousands were asking the same question. How does this happen inside the classroom? Lamar Consolidated ISD tells KPRC2 the district is investigating and saying, quote, our campuses are expected to be safe, supported environments where every student is treated with dignity and respect. Dr. Ashwani Tewari, Department Chair of Urban Education at the University of Houston Downtown, says Texas law already lays out what should happen when a child reports bullying and where parents should turn when it doesn't.
If a 9-year-old is complaining about it, then we have to listen to that 9-year-old. There's a long line of research that if that happens in formative year, that will have impact when the student goes in high school and in college. Those students tend to be, more depressed, suicidal in long run.
The district says they're doing a full investigation. Shai says that accountability means action, not apology. Now we have the full story on our website on clicktohouston.com. In Rosenberg, I'm Ricky Munoz, KPRC 2 News.
Not everybody cares. I mean, he did the right thing. He reported to his teacher, but the teacher did the wrong thing. Look,
With Revolut,
like I've been talking about, if you got someone that's bullying and picking on you, you go tell somebody like a teacher, that's not tattling. You've got to tell your kids that telling is not tattling. Because we hear the old saying, oh, nobody likes a tattletale. Well, telling somebody you're being bullied, you're being victimized is not tattling. Don't go rush to the schoolhouse, give your hair over, and make accusations. These teachers don't do it just for the money. They do it because they care. And if you feel like the teacher's not doing anything, you tell the principal. The principal won't do anything, you address it to the superintendent. You tell the superintendent, look, I talked to my teacher. She didn't do it. She did very little. I talked to the principal. I talked to my teacher. She didn't do anything. I talked to the principal. He or she did very little. We'll see what the superintendent can do. If the superintendent won't do anything, then you address it to the school board. But everyone wants to brush it under the rug and pretend that bullying does not exist. It does exist, and kids have committed suicide. Bullying is now part of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. That means that, every school district in this country has to have the tools, especially administrators, teachers, give them the tools and the resources they need. Now schools have websites, have their own websites. If you go on the website, you can go to the report a bully page, and you can and as a student you can report it. You can report anonymous and just say, okay, this person was picking on me, blah 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 blah. This school, they'll investigate it and then they'll take care of it. That's what it's all about these days, Not everybody cares about being picked, about bullying. Not everyone understands that telling is not tattling. Nobody, like the old saying, nobody likes a tattletale. And this is not something like, oh, just kids will be kids. No. This is something where a child is left alone. If a child is being bullied, then they get left alone. It's isolation. That's the number one thing. Parents, you need to talk to your child, let them know that you'll be there for them no matter what. You need to talk to your child. This is not something, and I say this, like I said this, I would say this, like I always say. This is not something like, just, kids will be kids. No. This is the loneliest time a child could ever face. You don't want to leave your child alone. You want to be with your child at all times. And then one tip of cyberbullying is just unplug. Because that is a virtual world out there. It is just a virtual world. But I'm glad something has to be done. And if something wasn't done, then we probably wouldn't even be here talking about this and it weren't for that story. But I'm glad that something had to be done. I hope the school can just sit there and say, hey, we did the wrong thing, but we can make it right. Not. Alright. Coming up. Okay. Alright, coming up. Some AI, there's a video about a student being detained by a police officer having a bag of chips. A bag of chips? There was a video. You're about to see a video when we come back of a student being detained by police having a bag of chips. But the only thing it is just being used by artificial intelligence. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, we all want our schools to be safe, right? People say like AI sucks. People use AI to write music. People use AI to, have a drum beat for their music. But how would you feel if AI detected a bag of chips and then arrested you for it? How would you feel that would happen? Artificial intelligence detects weaponry. It goes, beep, 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 beep. There's a weapon. There's a weapon. Beep, 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 beep. There's a weapon. Get on the ground now. You're under arrest. What's in that bag of chips? Let me shoot you. It's chips. Uncuff him. Roll rehearsal. You're under arrest. What's in there? That's definitely a gun. You're going to jail, boy. Unless a lamb, book him. But in all seriousness, this body cam footage, which you're about to see, raises concerns. Here's Chris Papps.
You have a gun on you?
No. What?
Everything blue that looked like a gun.
This is Baltimore County Police body-worn camera footage showing the moment last month when multiple people, including a 16-year-old high school student, were detained over a mistake.
There's bags of chips. Blue. Well, for me, that's what it looks like right here.
What was first thought to be a gun outside Kenwood High School turned out to be a bag of chips.
He was a monster. Just killing people.
This is video from earlier this year, after a student at Antioch High School in Nashville, Tennessee, opened fire in the cafeteria, killing one student and injuring two others. The gunman then took his own life. These two incidents took place more than 700 miles apart, but what they have in common is that both schools were using the same AI weapons detection software, OmniAlert. And in both instances, there's now questions over if the software improves school safety.
So then an alert system says that you have a gun.
OmniAlert, according to its website, claims to transform your passive security systems into early warning and active prevention systems. The artificial intelligence-based software is installed on cameras and is designed to detect a gun and quickly alert authorities. But at Antioch High School, police say the software did not detect the gun, even as that gun was being fired.
In this instance, based on the shooter's location, in proximity to the cameras, and it wasn't close enough to get an accurate read and to activate that alarm.
Following the school shooting in Tennessee, a Fox 45 News investigation learned Baltimore County Public Schools uses the same software. In 2023, BCPS entered into a 4-year, $2.6 million contract with OmniAlert.
We know it's working.
Project Baltimore, earlier this year,
There's always a process.
asked BCPS Superintendent Dr. Miriam Rogers if she has concerns about OmniAlert following the Antioch shooting. We also asked for specific examples of when OmniAlert functioned properly.
It certainly worked because we received the alerts on a regular basis. I would have to follow up to give you some exact times.
But those exact times never came. Fox 45 News then filed a public records request asking for all instances where BCPS has been alerted by OmniAlert to a firearm. But BCPS denied our request, saying releasing information would jeopardize the security of school systems and students. In a statement to Fox 45 last month, OmniAlert called the incident at Kenwood High School a false positive, but defended the system, stating it functioned as intended to prioritize safety and awareness through rapid human verification.
Yeah, it looks like just an empty Ziploc bag.
So for now, what we know is that BCPS has signed a $2.6 million contract with OmniAlert, and the district will not provide one instance where OmniAlert prevented a potential tragedy. But we do know of one instance where it failed to help stop a tragedy, and another instance where it nearly caused one, when these armed police officers detained a teenager.
Hey, thanks for not running away. That'd have been a real problem.
In that moment, I didn't feel safe.
Takai Allen was the 16-year-old who was carrying the chips.
God forbid my grandson could be dead. Had he flinched, twitched?
It's mainly like, am I ready to die, or like, are they ready to kill me?
What do police officers think? Does it make their jobs easier or harder? Does the technology make schools safer? That part of the story in the coming days. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
And in the coming days, we'll have that story. I mean, it's like they got peanut. It's like having peanut-free schools. No peanuts in the school. You can take a gun, but don't bring no peanuts. You don't even need a gun to walk in with some walnuts. I mean, I'd be like, hey, listen, lad, bring some peanuts. We're gonna do a peanut shooting in the school. I'll crack these motherfuckers right in. We'll crack these motherfuckers right in. We'll crack these suckers right in. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. I'll crack it. If that's what I want to do, catch us over the parking lot. Hey, get on the ground. Get on the ground. I will crack it. I will crack it. Even in the airport. Screw him. Get on the microphone. All right, hey, 23. Go out in the battle because we're going to need some peanuts for a while. And next time, go in and grab all the other fucking nuts. Hey, get on the ground. Get on the fucking ground now. Now, take this side. I got this side covered. Get your peanuts ready. And don't try to hold out through caches over the parking lot. Hey, you. Here's some almonds. Here's some almonds right there, boy. Oh. Jokingly, a peanut-free school be a cracking. Wow. I mean, it's like, I don't know what it's like, so this is the whole bottom line here. We really don't want this ever happening in our schools. When we come back, we're going to have Dr. Phil's testimony before Congress. We talked about bullying before. Now, he is going to talk. He talked to Congress years ago, and we're going to have his side. Stay with us. Earlier in tonight's broadcast, we talked about a child who was being bullied because he was gay in Houston. Now, and even a teacher decided, like, you know why you were gay? Because it's just the way you walk. It's because the teacher never handled it properly. Now, hadn't she learned the proper procedures for handling a bullying situation properly, that incident would never have happened. Now we're going to have, years ago before all of this, Dr. Phil McGraw took bullying very seriously. Which is why years ago, he put cyberbullying in the Elementary Secondary Education Act. Take a look at this.
I'm really honored and delighted to speak about this because it's something that I'm very passionate about, and I really hope that we'll have cyberbullying language added to the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. The times, they are a-changing, as we say in the South. When I grew up as a boy, all of our fantasies were about the wild, wild west, and everybody running around and gunslingers everywhere with no law west of the Pecos. Now we're dealing with the wild, wild web, and the gunslingers are keyboard bullies. They are these people that can, with anonymity, attack other students in a way that can completely destroy their reputations. And it's something that has changed, and we have to change with it. In the past, the bully had size, they had words, they could intimidate someone at school. But as Representative Platt comments, with MySpace and Facebook, email, chat rooms, there are so many of these things with so much power that they constitute weapons of mass destruction when it comes to communication with these kids. And the problem is the bullies are anonymous now. So you get even more aggression from them because they don't have to look their target in the eye. And this wild, wild web is completely unbridled. I mean, there are no checks, there's no balances, there's no accountability. Even if they are caught, there are little consequences. And when I grew up, and I suspect when a lot of you grew up, bullying took place by people writing on the bathroom wall or snickering behind somebody's back. And even then, you could move schools if necessary. Somebody could say, look, I just don't want to put up with this anymore, I'm going to move schools. You can't do that now. Even if you leave the bullies and you go to another school, all they have to do is Google that person's name and here it comes again. If there was a rumor that she stuffed her bra in the 5th grade or somebody wet their pants at lunch, something that happened that really was humiliating, embarrassing, they pick it up at the new school and here we go again. They Photoshop pictures in humiliating poses, ways that can just be so traumatic to a child. And believe me, it is impossible to unring the cyber bell. You cannot unring that bell. Once it's out there, it is out there. And children that have been impacted by cyberbullying are 1.9 times more likely to attempt suicide than the general population. We've seen it. Phoebe Prince, Alexis Pilkington, Megan Meyer, on and on. I get tens of thousands of letters at the Dr. Phil show of kids asking for help about this. It is a serious crisis. 42% of kids say they've been bullied on the internet. 35% say they have actually been threatened. And it's more for minorities, gays, and particularly girls. This is an epidemic, and the problem is there's no place to hide. Used to, at least when the child got home, they would be around people that loved them, cared for them, and they would be safe at home. Now, that bully can silently come inside the home. You think your child is back doing their homework, but on their desktop or their laptop, they're getting bombarded by these people that are saying ugly things about them, telling them they wish they would kill themselves. They're going to beat them up the next day. Isolation is the #1 tool of an abuser. And you can never be more isolated than when someone is cyberbullying you and you alone with that screen are looking at everything that's being said. And children won't talk to their parents about this. They feel shame. They feel embarrassment. They don't want to tell mom and dad, hey, that people don't like me. So parents don't necessarily know it. 85% of the time, this goes completely unabated because there's no official crime. We have to give educators, administrators, teachers the tools that they need to prevent this, to intervene once it happens, to break the pattern, and both the bullies and the targets need counseling. The bullies don't understand the gravity of what they're doing. They just simply don't get that. So we have to help them understand, develop empathy to realize when I do this, it's destroying someone's life. And I see so many people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s that were bullied, it still affects them. It affects the way they parent their children. It leaves scars that run deep. It may end in the 7th grade, but the residual is there for the rest of their life. And I really hope we add language to address cyberbullying to the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, because teachers in particular are dedicated professionals. Look, you don't go into teaching for the money. You go into teaching because you care. You go into teaching because you want to impact young people's lives. We need to give them the tools to do that. And I am so proud that the committee's starting what I think is a long overdue dialogue about this so we can give them the tools that they need. And frankly, all of us adults aren't nearly as literate on the computer as our kids are. We need to close that information gap. We need to Google our children's names. We need to know where their name pops up, who's talking to them, what they're saying, and how they're doing it. And I am just so convinced that by putting this language in the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, we can raise the awareness and give these people the tools to bring this about. So, and I want to tell you that I'm going to continue to focus on this on my platform, and I invite everyone in the media to use their platform to raise awareness about this, to educate parents about this, and put them on alert. So I commend y'all for taking the time to do this. Thank you very much.
It's ridiculous that nobody cares about bullying. You mean, we hear stories, and like we talked about, bullying can lead to suicide. And like, it's one of the longest times. We've showed many videos all about bullying. A lot of video. We showed several videos dozens of times in this broadcast, and I think it may need to show this again. So take a look at this.
When you're the victim, how do you handle it?
Well, here's the thing. It is so easy for me to say, but so hard for the Amandas of the world to do, because the number one thing you have to do is unplug. If you're getting slammed on those sites and you unplug from the site, you drop them, you delete them, you're not there, then it's not hitting on you. Now, does that mean you're not going to tease you at school? No, but you've at least stopped that. And we've got to tell these kids that telling is not tattling. If you are getting bullied on the internet, if you're getting bullied in any way, going and telling somebody in authority, somebody in responsibility what's going on, that's not, because we tell, the teacher say, oh, nobody likes a tattletale. Well, telling somebody that you're being victimized and you're being bullied is not tattling. You need to reach out and get help. And I say to all the parents out there, this is not something it's just kids will be kids. No, this has gone to another level. This is the loneliest time a child can ever have in their life. You don't want to leave them alone.
You need to help them. And there are ways to deal with cyberbullying, like unplug from it, That's why, why truancy is on the rise? Because the kids are being bullied in school. Let me show you this. We've already seen. There is a difference between truancy, because there are excuses that people don't go to school. It's because, they're being bullied. That's why they're being truant, because, they really don't want to deal with this. It's, the law says you have to go to school. And if you don't go to school, then mom and dad can go to jail. And yet, when you go to truancy court, and you say to them, like, oh, I'm being bullied. You're saying, well, I've been getting picked on, I've been being picked on because, blah, 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 blah. So let's take a look at this.
Cascade Platinum Plus has the grease fighting power of Dawn to remove tough, stuck-on foods. Cascade Platinum Plus.
They say this is at work.
Actually, we're going to have that video for you next. Stay with us. Like we've been talking about, back in 2020, when the dreaded COVID-19 pandemic happened, bullying became number 2 at the list for cause of truancy. The pandemic was COVID-19 was number 1. Back in the day, like during that time, if you didn't turn in your assignments, you're getting marked absent. And if your computer broke down and you weren't there, you were also counted absent. County attorneys were involved in this by saying, okay, we're going to fine your child, blah, 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 blah. Sorry. And then all of a sudden, it came into, this, and that. So let's take a look at this documentary.
Hi, my name is Luis, and I'm a student here at Hollenbeck Middle School. Right now, our school is empty because we have summer break. But what happens when school starts and students are supposed to be in class, getting an education, don't come, and they just skip school? According to the California Department of Education, the truancy rate at Hollenbeck Middle School in 2014 was 75%. Us Pell kids, well, we've seen a lot of ditching here at Hollenbeck, and we wanted to know why and what can be done about it. This is Cynthia Gonzalez, and she's a city attorney at the Hollenbeck Police Station.
Hello, Mrs. Gonzalez.
What is the definition of truancy?
What truancy is defined as? So one truancy is 3 unexcused absences. So if you're ditching and you ditch one day, that counts as 1 of 3.
Is ditching similar to truancy?
You know, it is. It's very, very similar because when you say ditching, that just means, you know, you ditched one day. But technically, by definition, you have to ditch 3 times to become truant.
How big of a problem is truancy in Boyle Heights?
It's a huge problem.
Truancy is bad because it affects your attendance, you know, and then it also takes you in bad routes. In school, you start messing up with your grades, you start slacking.
If the kids don't get their education, what can happen is that they're gonna live in the streets if they don't have money or work in Burger King or restaurants.
I am very concerned about truancy, especially here at the middle school level, because when kids don't come to school, they aren't learning, they're missing out on their academic content. And if you don't come to school, then you're gonna be behind, and then when you come back, it's going to be difficult to catch up. And so it makes school seem a lot harder than what it actually is.
The school loses money, federal money, for attendance through all the periods, not just one period.
We use valuable money to the school for supplies and curriculum for the students to learn.
It's bad. It's bad for schools, it's bad for kids, it's bad for families, it's bad for communities.
Does truancy affect crime and the quality of life in the community?
There's a big correlation, meaning there's a big connection between truancy, gangs, and crime.
When I was still working patrol, there was countless amount of kids who would just be out roaming around during the week, during school hours.
So they stopped going to school, they ended up getting in trouble, they ended up joining gangs, and when you're a gang member, you get involved in a lot of crime. So there is a big connection between being truant and crime.
What are some causes of truancy? And what I mean by that is, why do you think kids skip school?
You know, I think that there's probably a lot of reasons why kids skip school. Nowadays, I think one of the really big reasons is bullying. I think there's a lot of bullying that goes on in school, and I think in order for a kid to not go and have to deal with that bully, they just don't go.
Ever since preschool, I've been bullied. I've always had to find a way to get past it, and kids are still bullying me now on the surface, but it really doesn't affect me anymore because I just learned to ignore it. I've also seen kids bullying other kids, and I just don't think it's right.
If you're being bullied at school, who wants to be bullied? You're gonna skip out in school. You'll make up any excuse to not have to be bullied.
In our research, we found that a lot of people are saying that it's the school's fault, or it's the parents, or it's the actual kid's fault. Who do you think is right?
I kind of think everyone's right. Because if you really, really look at it, everyone's kind of at fault.
The parent has the responsibility of the student is younger, taking them to school on time, being involved in the school, in the parent conferences, in the back to school night.
It's something that we need to work hard to make sure that students aren't truant, that they're in school, but we also have to provide them with an interesting learning environment so that they want to be here.
I think first we have to make school fun, interesting, and exciting for students. So that is number one. The other thing is to figure out why are students being truant. Is there any issues at home with family? Any issues on the way to school that might be keeping a student from coming? And finding out what are some of the ways that we can support students by maybe connecting them with resources, community organizations, or counseling.
A lot of the students need to start taking a little more personal responsibility in making better choices. Because, like I said earlier, regardless of how many excuses you want to make for choosing to ditch, you still chose to ditch.
If you don't go to school, what can you do tomorrow? Be in the street? You know, you have to prepare yourself for the future, be a good person, somebody good for the community, for the society.
To talk to them. They're still teenagers, their hormones are still coming, and they're not sure what they're feeling right now. Some are feeling sadness, depression, like that, or something's wrong with their family, or something's wrong. Just talk to them. They're just human beings as well as us. And we have that same time when we feel like we need somebody to talk to us, and why? Because our education is the most important one of all, and that's what we need the most.
I agree 100% with what Maya Well said. Just talk to us, believe in us, it could go a long way. Well, thank you for watching. We hope we started a good conversation about truancy.
Now, like we talked about, you know, I got a lot to say. We're going to take a break on this one. We'll be right back. Look, whether it bothers us to death, it bothers us to death. We have to go to school every day to get our education. If a child doesn't graduate, then there'll be a higher odds of living in poverty, and the odds of a child getting a full-time job would be a lot more difficult. In this county alone, it's not just in every other counties. In this county alone, truancy is a huge problem in Nueces County. Back in 2018, truancy judge in Nueces County decided to do truancy night court. Oh, it was Judge Joe Benavides. So it was Judge Joe Benavides. He decided to get tough on the parents because, you know, they're at work. So he created truancy night court as a way to get the parents out of work and get them into the courtroom. Every excuse is just not just bullying, it's drugs and peer pressure. You know? Every judge is trying to find non-powered organizations to help them through. And so it's like, okay, what's going on? What's going on while you're not in school? And child's like, well, I'm being bullied. Okay, well, you know, did you talk to teachers? You think you're smart? Yes, I am. Look at my grades. And then all of a sudden it's like, you know, during your remedial orders, one of those you gotta go see the school counselor. I mean, that's why bullying happens, you know. Isolation is the number one key. And what we've been talking about throughout all these years is, you know, not everybody gives two shits about bullying. Schools don't care. Parents want to sit there and say, well, go punch the child in the face, which is wrong. And I'm against dads who tell their kids to go punch them in the face because that's going to make them shut up. And then dads like Anthony can just go to the principal and say, well, my son was just defending himself. Dads are like saying, well, did you start it? Did you win? And then, you know, my boy, that's what I'm talking about right there. Violence is never the answer. Because there is a lot of absenteeism at the top. And truancy rates, and not just absenteeism, truancy rates are going up while attendance is going down. School loses money, and, you know, nothing can be done. If nothing can be done, nothing can solve the problem. It's like this. If a child doesn't go to school, the child can gain an education. You've got to be aware of this whole situation here. And then right on top of that, you got to be able to sit there and say, hey, you know, I've got to be right on top of all these school threats. of all the bullying that's been going on. As a parent, you gotta talk to the parent, talk to your child, talk to the school. There's every side to every story. And if you don't get your other side of the story, it's gonna end up eating, chewing up and spitting you out. And then, you know, you're going to end up living on the street. That's Keeping Wreck for Wednesday. I'm Jonathan Carmody. I'll see you back here Friday night.